So we have another absolutely fantastic episode for you about AI and the way that search is impacted with AI and specifically with Google as well. When it comes to lead generation and you getting discovered in your business. So we've had a couple conversations recently with Brian Sakine and a couple other people specifically about AI search. This is a topic that is maybe you're tired of hearing it, or maybe you just want more and more and more because it's so good. But this is a topic that we're going to dig into quite a bit. And the main reason is because a lot of it is marketing, of course. All of it's marketing. But today I have my good friend Noah Parks. He's with Bateman Collective. If you missed an episode from last July, July of 2024, we actually had the CEO of Bateman Collective, Brandon Bateman, on the show, and he talked about specifically SEO and Facebook. So go listen to that as well after this episode. But Noah specifically is talking about AI and the way that AI works when it comes to search results based on the $1.5 million that they manage actively right now with Google Ads. And it's important to understand that the credibility piece of having Noah talk about this stuff, it's there. They over the past few years, Bateman Collective has managed over $65 million worth of Google paid traffic. And that's amazing because that gives us all incredible insight about how Google is actually pulling up your Google My Business listing and your search, delivering search results to the people that are searching for an answer to their question about selling their house and you coming up. It's very, very important to understand this. And one of the things that I took away from this was, number one, is how quickly all of this is coming to like actual usage. Now, one of the things that Noah talked about is the preparation phase. Specifically with the demographics that a lot of people deal with when you're dealing with sellers, motivated seller leads, they're that older demographic, that 50 plus age, and they're probably not actively right now using ChatGPT to search for stuff, but you can make damn sure that they are actually learning that and it will come up quickly. And how long it took for people to learn how to Google stuff and like the whole like Google it became a verb, right? That took maybe a decade for that to happen. And AI and searching with ChatGPT, because of how impactful it is, that's going to be even quicker. I could bet you it's going to take less than a year for like the majority. And every single day, search results are being pulled from Google to go to AI specifically. People are using AI to search for stuff more actively than they ever have been. And it's just going to accelerate because of the contextual answers that AI is giving you when you search for something, as opposed to you going to Google and then you search something, but then you have to pick and choose what your options are. Google's just laying the options out while ChatGPT and Grok and AI, Gemini are giving you the exact answer to your question that you're looking for. So we talk about how to leverage it, how to prepare for it, make sure that you are buttoned up on all fronts. One of the things we talk about a lot is Google My Business as well, which is something that I didn't even expect to be talked about a lot when it comes to AI, but the way that Noah talks about how it impacts AI search is just kind of impactful and something that every house buyer, if you're a real estate investor, which you are, you're listening right now, needs to invest in. You need to invest in this stuff right now. Before it's too late, honestly. But anyway, Noah is absolutely fantastic, great guest, talks about a lot of great things. We're probably going to have him back pretty frequently to talk about some of this stuff a little bit more in depth, because I feel like every single week, every single day, new stuff is happening when it comes to AI and search results and that sort of thing, which we want to be top of mind when sellers are looking for us. We want to be that first search result that comes up for them to call, right? So anyway, I think this is going to be a fantastic episode for you guys. Make sure you take notes, listen up, and enjoy this episode with Noah Parks from Bateman Collective. Welcome back to the REI Marketing Weekly. It's your host, Josh Culler, and today I've got my special friend, Noah Parks, on the show with Bateman Collective. Noah and I have known each other for a bit of time, like I mentioned in the introduction. Met him a couple masterminds, like we've been a part of a couple masterminds. I'm also good friends with Brandon Bateman, CEO of Bateman Collective. Amazing team that they got over there. And we'll have Noah talk about Bateman Collective a little bit towards the end of the show. Now, obviously, Bateman Collective being a PPC provider and helps with SEO and stuff like that, we're going to be talking about things that Noah's an expert in within that reach and the services that they offer, but still extremely valuable, even if you're not necessarily going to be using Bateman Collective to work with. This is going to be stuff that like everybody needs to know about. I would say, Noah, that this topic that we're going to be going over, there's going to be a couple of variations of the topic. I would say this is like, I don't know, you tell me, is this like a red alert for real estate investors? So like, you need to get on this now, or like it could be too late, or like you're going to fall behind type thing?
I think with this particular topic, it's the shade of the tree you should have planted 20 years ago.
Got it. Hey, that's a good. So it's one of those things of like, what's the best time to plant a tree? 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Second best time right now.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly the case. And honestly, time is your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. Because this is only going to become more prevalent in REI. And right now, you've got about a 2% adoption rate in the industry. And so it's honestly, it's going to, the first ones in are going to win here. Because time's on your side.
Yeah, for sure. Now Noah's going to be hitting it from an interesting perspective, guys, because one of the main things, by the way, that we're going to be talking about is the leveraging of AI to generate leads. Now, Bateman Collective, working primarily with real estate investors on their PPC and web presence, that's what we're focusing in on. So Facebook, SEO, PPC, stuff like that. But obviously, this is a conversation. And Noah, you were at CG in my room when I gave the presentation on how video content impacts AI, and that's just a fraction of it. That's just a piece of the puzzle that this whole AI, if you will, monster that we're able to either use for us or against us, is going to kind of take place. But obviously, with you guys managing like $1.5 million in ad spend for real estate investors right now, I think you guys have a lot of insight that could be very valuable to our listeners. So if you guys are listening right now, take a lot of notes. There's going to be some things that we go deep into, and there's a possibility that there might be something that we go like a little bit more surface level, and then we have Noah back on to talk about it a little bit more in depth on another episode. But I want to dig deep. So let's go ahead and jump in here, man. AI, like one of the things we'll talk about is this new Google AI Max, the PPC platform that Google's unveiling, which you're kind of at the forefront for. But I kind of want to start with the basics. Now, I've had a couple people on here talking about AI with the way that search engines work and that sort of thing. But I want, from your perspective, how do you see the overall landscape of how it's started, maybe the timeline sped up, and how quickly it's kind of throttled forward, and where we're going within the next, not even like year, I'm talking like next couple months? Where are we at with how AI impacts search results and leads?
Well, I'm going to date myself. My first e-commerce website was in 1996, which is 2 years before Google. And
no, I was 3 years old. You've been at it as long as I've been alive. So no, to me, I look at this is credibility. This is nothing more than credibility.
Okay. All right. Well, credibility / dating myself. I've been at it for a very long time. Let's put it that way. I mean, especially in digital marketing years, right? Because it's like dog years. And the exponential shift in how things have changed over that time frame, that's 30 years now, roughly. Mm-hmm. And and now AI is only going to accelerate it more. Yeah. But I think probably one of the most important things to remember about AI is it is not creating anything new or novel. It's really only drawing from what exists and at best repackaging it. Yeah. So in other words, when we talk about AI in search, if it exists, it can leverage and utilize that. If it doesn't exist, it can't. And so when I think about it, I think about having a robust, coherent strategy, content strategy, and messaging. And this goes right along with what you said in CG about video. Like, you have to know your overall strategy so that you can script out what you want to say in the video. Yeah. Because as that's transcribed and indexed, it falls in line with the rest of your content strategy. Yeah. And so I think the days of just doing a little here and there and half-assing it are over. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have an overarching strategy, the reality of getting left behind is very real.
Yeah, something to go back on. I just pulled it up right now because I want to see the exact verbiage that was used. So in the presentation that I gave that you referred to, in coupling that with your mentioning about like AI is just kind of like pulling information that is being put out there by humans and then giving the answer. And when I was building my presentation for that and how to leverage video content to build your brand online with AI, or for AI, I think I mentioned this in my presentation, but I literally asked ChatGPT to give me exact verbiage on some things. And one of the things that it said is, this is under my slide of why AI needs your content to trust you. And the first thing it says, and I didn't type this out. I copy and pasted it, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to see what it would give me. It said ChatGPT and search engines can only pull from what exists. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they're just snapping their fingers out of thin air. It in a way, like you said, it's just repackaging it. It's taking like the existing content there, right?
Well, and at the end of almost every paragraph whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, it will give you the little anchor, the chain, right?
Yeah.
Logo, icon, whatever. And it basically has a bibliography.
The sources that we pull from.
It's sourced exactly where it pulled it from, so you can see the original source.
Yeah.
So if you want to be included in that, you need to do what is necessary in order to be indexed properly and allow them to pull you into those results.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then the next piece that I had, which you could comment on as well, is it says, if you haven't published content, then you can't be cited. That's specifically what ChatGPT said. Like, if you don't put stuff out, then we're not pulling sources from you because there's no sources to pull from you. Right. So
and one of the things one of the little experiments I like to do with investors to drive this point home is to have them go to ChatGPT or Grok or whatever and put in the prompt and ask who is the most trusted cash buyer in insert your market here, and put that prompt in and see what
mystery shopping. I love that.
Mystery shop yourself. Now, that being said, if you're logged in, it's going to pull from everything you've already taught it. So log out, do it incognito, whatever. And if you're sitting in your office, it will know that too. So anyway, try to anonymize it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because it does have the location based, but it'll give you a map pack. It'll give you search results. It'll give you contact information of who it sees as the best, or most trusted cash buyer in a given market. And as search shifts to more of these platforms, that's, again, it's just an opportunity.
Now, you probably have a better grip on the numbers than I do. I just know, like, from behavioral metrics, this to be true. Maybe you can comment on this, but you got to be thinking about it. Like, I just look at the way that I would use AI. I don't remember the last time I went to Google to verbal or a verb Google something, right? Like, I now ask questions. I go straight to ChatGPT, and the reason why I do that is because theoretically, the thing you got to think about is, like, if I go to Google and type something in and search on Google, how to change my tire, it's going to give me options of sources that I can pull from that I have to, me specifically, go choose. And I think as humans, just like the ease of it's been like, okay, well, we just click on a couple things and see which one matches our best, like, search, right? But now AI just gives you the damn answer. It just says, like, here's how you do it. Yeah. We just compact it, like you said, repackaged it specifically for the way that it's supposed to be done. And that's how I use it. Are you seeing that from users with the people that you're working with too?
I think a very valuable exercise for people to do is I think sometimes we forget to include our own user experience. How do we use these tools? Because our sellers aren't really any different than that. So oftentimes when we go to Google, we will type in a search, but we try to, sometimes it doesn't even make sense what we're saying, but we're just putting in a keyword rich type of search to try and steer the results to get what we want. And if we don't get exactly what we want in the first few results, what do? We go back up and we refine that search, right? Mm-hmm. So, and 15% of the searches every single day, Google's never seen before. That's a massive.
Really?
They're unique searches, never been seen before.
That high, 15%, you said?
Yeah. Now, think about ChatGPT. Let's just use that. It's sort of ubiquitous now. But when we go to ChatGPT, we just ask it questions using normal language, right?
Our slang, the way we talk.
Or slang, or the way we talk. And it can decipher our intent and what we're truly looking for. And we tend to get better, more robust answers because it's drawing from multiple sources rather than just Google's index database or things like that. It's drawing from multiple sources. Now, the other part of that too is we can use ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini conversationally, and we can literally have back and forth conversation. And when it finishes giving us the result, it'll ask us like that next step question. Do you want me to get you vendors in your area?
Yeah.
And you just say, yeah, sure. That'd be great. I mean, I always say thank you at the end of it because,
I've got an habit of doing that.
It's like, hopefully they skip over my house,
Yeah, right. Just in case AI goes a little further than we were expecting.
and the actual costs of that, by the way, of people thanking, this is an actual thing. There's an actual hard cost associated with that. And it's massive. Just people saying thank you.
Because it'll respond after that.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, the amount of power required to run all of this is astronomical. I mean, Meta just made a deal with a nuclear power plant to get power.
Saw that. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Energy needs are gonna just
but what that tells me, Noah, is when the corporations like that are investing in that sort of source and that power, that energy, they're going to use it, and that they're taking it seriously now, and that's the direction that things are going to be going. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
So we either gotta like buckle in and
dreams. No.
Yeah, for sure. So as we're like kind of discussing the importance of this, how do you see and maybe it's just directly the way that you guys are implementing stuff for your clients, but how do you see that we can take advantage of this and be a part of, you gave the example of like it'll bring up map packs, and when I was doing my presentation, I gave a specific example for one of my clients, Paul Myers, and his map pack pulled up and that sort of thing, and that's amazing. And he puts out a lot of content which we help him with, but he's heavily invested in like Google reviews and Better Business Bureau reviews and stuff like that. Right. What are like some of the best practices and tips that you can give our audience about like how to get featured? And if somebody goes to ChatGPT and says, I need to sell my house that I just inherited, and I need to sell it quick in my market, who do you sell it to? Yeah. Like how do we become that authority in the eyes of AI?
Yeah. So really two great things inside of that question. One is, what do we do? And two is when the search volume shows up. Mm-hmm. So help me remember that because.
Yep. Gotcha. Locked in.
Everyone else in this industry, nth degree. But so here's the thing. Paul is one of the very best at his SEO and doing what needs to be done. He's heavily invested in his Google reviews, as you said, and really doing the basics. So when it comes to what the first things first, okay? First things first. It's the blocking and tackling. It's the fundamentals, right? It's dribbling with your eyes up. I know you're a Bulls fan, so I had to use that one. But it really is the fundamentals. It's dialing in your Google business profile. It's posting regularly in the updates of your Google business profile. There are ways in which you can go into your Google business profile and you can actually give location specific updates of who you are, what you do, and why you're good, which will help you be more regionally relevant, if you will. It's getting the website dialed in. And so when you think about a search result, at the top, you have the sponsored results, which are the PPC results, right? Yeah. You pay when somebody clicks. You don't pay to be there. You pay when somebody clicks, but you do have to do the right things to get there. We can talk about that some other time.
That's another episode.
But down below that, depending, right, there's usually a map pack that will give local businesses around you. And then down below that are the organic, or, the you've earned your way into those listings by having good, relevant content and a good user experience. And so it really comes down to the basics. Having the pages of your website have good, relevant content. But those pages are fairly static. They're not very dynamic. You want your blogging to be dynamic. Throw some blog content up there. Be topical. Be relevant. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what Google needs is a good experience for their customers, who are the people doing the search.
Right, of course.
And they're only going to put people up there that have a good user experience, from site load speed, things like that. So my advice is always, the lowest hanging fruit is Google Business Profile, number one. Number two, Google Reviews. And number three, is regularly updating that Google Business Profile. Those are the three things that I would do immediately. It's easy. And that will have a huge impact there. Now, that being said, there's so much more, and my hesitance is my mind is picking and choosing, which nuggets to share, because there's so much to it. So I'll just say, if anybody wants like a step-by-step guide to Google Business Profile and optimizing that and getting more Google reviews, etc., just give me an email and I'll give that to everybody.
Interrupting this podcast episode to tell you guys that this podcast is managed and produced by Color Media Productions. Yes, shameless plug, that's my company. However, we do this for a lot of other people as well. Most people that we work with are in the real estate investing space. So if you're listening to this podcast specifically, you probably are a real estate investor, given it's called the REI Marketing Weekly. If you're somebody that either wants to start a podcast or you have one going and it's becoming a little bit of a hassle, you're looking to transition to somebody that works a little bit better with a fluid motion in terms of you get the recordings done and then they do everything else. Well, that's what we do. We do fully managed podcasts from start to finish, video, audio, show noting, the graphics, publishing, everything that goes into it. It's a full service business that we run here in a service for you as a real estate investor if you are running a podcast. Additionally, we also do social media and YouTube management as well. So all of that being on the organic side, if you are interested in learning more about working with us and just recording content with guidance and strategy set by myself personally, and then not doing anything else after that, where we're taking care of everything from start to finish, then make sure you go check us out at colormedia.com, CULLER media.com. Hit us up there and we can learn more about working together, hop on a phone call and see what we could do for you. Now back to the episode. Yeah, that'd be helpful. And I think it would probably be a good idea to get you back on to talk about that. I was actually just looking up, I had Brandon on the show back in July of last year. That's crazy how fast that was. I was literally like looking into like November, December, and then I just kept scrolling backwards of like, wow, that was actually July of 2024 when I had him on the show. And he talked specifically about SEO and stuff like that. And I think what's interesting that you kept talking about that I really didn't think about much, like I knew it at the top of my head, is you kept mentioning Google My Business. Like I didn't know that had such a kind of like a power source with the way that I knew on the SEO side, but specifically on the AI side, you're saying that is like paramount especially for well, we're specifically talking to real estate investors, but
right.
House buyers, you're saying that's like extremely important.
Right. And think about it. I mean, we're in a hyper local business for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Hyper local business. And so the more we can let Google know who we are, what we do, why we're good, right? So who we are is our brand, what we do, obviously, why we're good, Google reviews, and where we do it, right? That is going to help Google provide the best results to somebody because they know based on your IP where you're searching from. Yeah. And so very important. And I will add this. So this is where I'm again going to date myself. And I bet you remember though. Remember Google Plus?
Yeah, I remember Google Plus. I'm old enough to remember that, and to have had a profile that was active.
Okay, fair enough. It was only like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But Google Plus, I mean, talk about burn. Just crash and burn, right? Yeah. Trying to compete on the socials. Google created their own social platform, but here's the thing: Google Plus had almost no usage whatsoever, right? Like everybody had a profile because it was Google Plus.
I think you automatically get a Google Plus when you sign up for a Google account, right?
Exactly, Gmail or anything like that. But nobody used it. Nobody used it. Now, the irony was Google loves their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so back in those days, if you were to you really optimize your Google Plus listing, you would dominate search. You would always show up. So the thing is that still in my experience, okay, I'll just say my experience, as still holds true. The more active you can be on your Google business profile, the more likely it is to show up when a relevant search is done. So updates, adding photos, just anything you can do to keep that content fresh and topical is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, no, that's good. And of course, that's important for specifically SEO with Google search. But now we're talking about AI. Like it's extremely important because again, what we talked about is with, searching for something specific. Like a great example is I actually tried this the other day. We were traveling and I was craving a certain food, so I typed it into ChatGPT and I was like, "This is what I'm craving, but I'm in this area. I don't want to drive more than 15 minutes," and it gave me the exact restaurant to go to for that. But I looked at the sources and it pulled directly from their Google My Business profile, and there was like 15,000+ reviews,
right,
for that specific restaurant, and it was all matching the results to this very specific menu item that I wanted. And what's funny is when I looked at their menu, I specifically looked for this because I was testing it. When I looked at the menu, the item that I wanted was like at the bottom of the menu, but they had it on the menu and it was good, but like it wasn't like a main event course for them, right? Yeah, so it's very interesting. So I want to kind of pivot real quick. There's so much that we could lock into with this, and again, I think
sorry, before you pivot.
Okay.
So there's two things in my ADD.
Oh, that's right. No, I let you down. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just proud of myself that I remembered.
I promised to hold you accountable for that, and I didn't.
Yeah, I blame ADD instead of age. But here's the thing. The big question is, and kind of the whole reason for this becoming such a popular topic right now is the announcement that so much search traffic has transitioned.
Right. Yeah.
But in reality, I think one of the things we always have to keep in mind, and this is not an excuse, and I hope nobody uses this as one, is who our target audience is, right? Yeah. And our target audience, it's my belief, this is just my opinion, is probably not quite there yet because of the characteristics of our target audience.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't panic, but I would prepare, because as our target audience progresses over the next few years, they will become more savvy, and they will start to show up. And again, since this is the shade of the tree you should have planted 20 years ago, the more you can do today, the better off you're going to be when our traffic does start transitioning to these platforms.
Yes. The way I look at this in my world is where we're at right now with AI and AI search is where TikTok was in 2019, where you could put a video out, create a profile, literally put a video out in a matter of 20 minutes and go viral and get 1 million views on a video. Like it's that green right now. And I think that like when it comes to social media specifically too, I've actually like dug into this a lot because social media is my thing.
Right.
What's interesting about it with AI in comparison is that these platforms are no longer interest-based with the algorithms. It is very, very specifically interest-based, but it's no longer like the platform's guessing based on the content you're consuming. It's based on the actual pulling of the data of the content. So it's the titling, it's the description you're loading in there, it's the transcription. Like I've tested this a few times with ChatGPT, where it'll actually pull content from an Instagram post on a reel and it's transcribed the reel to pull it for the search result. And that's been very interesting to see because 2019, 2020, we saw this like rise in organic social media. Like you could go viral, you could build an audience very, very easily, and it was like almost no effort. Then all of a sudden, like late 2022, it started to decline from an organic standpoint. Now, like, you create a TikTok account and you could put out 10 videos a day and it does nothing. And so it's been interesting. But then over the last 6 to 8 months with AI coming in, social media has kind of taken this kind of like hockey stick going right back up in the way that it's being leveraged, all because of the AI search functionality. And like the AI traffic is bringing attention back to social media posts, especially stuff that can be indexed like YouTube videos or podcasts. Stuff like that has been interesting. So yeah, that's a great conversation to have. So I want to pivot now, and thank you for remembering that. That was something very, very important. AI Max. So I want to kind of end our conversation with this specifically because this is fresh. This is new. This is something you put out even a day ago in Collective Genius Facebook group. So you said, investors get ready. AI Max is here. And Bateman Collective is leading the charge for real estate investors. So this is the future of PPC with Google. Can you kind of explain, especially if you are doing PPC, listen up, perk your ears up, take notes. This is the new direction of where they're going for it. If you're not doing PPC and it's something you're interested in, this is going to be for you too. So can you kind of explain what this is about and where it's going?
Yeah, sure. So keep in mind, every time, these AI platforms are based on language learning models, right? And every time we interact, we're training, right? So every time we ask AI something and we get a response and they ask if basically, is this correct? Is that what you wanted? And then we either correct them or tell them that's what we want. They're learning, right? And so what AI Max is going to do is you're going to see a big shift toward away from specific keywords toward intent, a broader type match based on intent. And then here's some of the kickers. And then Google's not going to send them to a landing page. Google's going to send them to the page of your website that they feel best gives them the best information based on the intent of what they put in. Right? So when you think about that, a couple of things. One, and maybe I might brag just a little bit, right? Because I had
Go ahead. I'm stewing right now, so go ahead.
That one conversation with AI about this the other day, about the future of AI Max and about Bateman Collective and how we're positioned. This is $250 billion a year that Google makes off of their ads, in various forms, right? Whether it's Google search, YouTube, things like that. $250 billion a year. They are not going to just give that up, right? So they're going to leverage and maximize as much as they possibly can. And so when you think about that, we need to be prepared. But when you also consider the fact that it takes so much data to train the algorithm and to have it understand what you're actually looking for. And that's where I think I'm going to credit Brandon. Brandon Bateman. He is a freaking genius. I mean, the guy is amazing. His mind is just incredible. And I credit him as the visionary. When I met him 4.5 years ago, whatever it was, I was blown away by his vision for what he wanted to do with data in an industry like ours that is very data sparse, right? Very few transactions, but very lucrative. So how can we leverage those few transactions to get more insight and to get more knowledge faster than we could just with onesie twosies here and there? And so by using specific bid strategies, by aggregating data, we've already been using dynamic landing pages. We've been using dynamic messaging based on what we see as the intent of certain keywords. So we've already been actually doing this for a couple of years now. And so when I had this conversation with AI about this, it was kind of fun because they told us, they basically were patting us on the back saying, you guys are very well, you've got over $62 million worth of ad spend data that you can power this up with.
Mm-hmm.
It requires this type of bid strategy, which we've already been doing. Dynamic ad copy, dynamic landing pages, all of these things. And I was like, and I credit that all to Brandon and his vision. It's incredible. And the fact that it's so pertinent to what's going to happen here in the next few months, pretty incredible.
Yeah. There's a few things I kind of want to unpack. So one of the things that you mentioned that made me look up in the air was the fact that it's going to be directing people to a page on your website that is the most relevant to the search. So is this where I come in and say, this is where content is the most important? Because if I have a page on my website that's specifically directed towards probate, and I have 5 videos talking about how to sell your inherited house, what to do if you have heirs on, the property, like all that stuff, and that's what it's pulling from. And you're saying that if somebody searches for that, it's going to direct them to that page, not just the homepage of my website.
That's correct. According to what they have said, right?
Yeah.
Remember, this has been a week, right?
Right.
And
right.
we're already running beta tests on a beta that's not even publicly available yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking very early stages here, but that is the indication that they're giving us. Now, this has happened in the past, right? This has happened in SEO where you could, have a meta title, a meta description, which are typically what would show up as the search result, right? The blue text is the meta title and then the description down below. Now, then you have the content of your website. It's not unlike Google to ignore what you've given it as, hey, this is what I want for my title and description, and for them to replace that description with content from the page. That they've already done this to an extent. And remember, when you look at it, the biggest picture possible, they're trying to give their users the best possible experience by getting them the best information. And if they feel like it's over here when you said it's over there, they're going to do what they want to do, because for them, it's about optimizing conversion rates.
Yeah.
Think about this in PPC. When we optimize conversion rates and we optimize clicks and things like that, we're optimizing revenue for Google. And ideally, at the end of the day, we should win too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always been that scenario, the fox guarding the hen house a little bit.
That's a very interesting topic.
See, this is why having $62 million worth of ad spend data to train the algorithm, which is something we already are doing. It's closed loop data reporting or offline conversions. We talk about it all the time. We work with every client that's a PPC client to take outcomes. Outcomes are what are important, because if we have a click ID with 10,000 points of data and we have an outcome and we tie those together, Google's going to build a better avatar and they're going to build a better model. And so we're taking all of those hundreds of thousands of leads, transactions, clicks, and we're already populating Google with that information. So Josh, if you were to start running a direct-to-seller PPC campaign, and let's say in the Chicagoland area, you had $25,000 a month of ad spend. With us, when Google looks in your campaign, they'll see millions and millions of dollars of ad spend, not just 25,000, because that's what's going into your specific campaign to train it.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a very fascinating conversation to have. And I think one of the biggest things I'm pulling out of this whole thing, honestly, there's a lot, but one of the biggest things is that Google loves itself and it's going to promote itself as much as possible. So that's why we need to invest as much as we can into everything that Google has. Even going back to the conversation about Google Plus, and I knew that even when that was a thing, putting content on there was important, and I would research that. That's right around the time when I started getting deeper into the media and social media space, when it was kind of getting going. So that's interesting.
I think Google's got about 85% of the search volume market share. And for them, they're not just going to relinquish market share to ChatGPT and Grok and so forth. They're not going to, not without a really bloody fight. And so right now we have to win. We have to play the Google game, whatever that may be. And as the landscape shifts and the rules change, I mean, you can fight it if you want to, but I don't think that makes a whole lot of business sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, this has been a very fascinating conversation. I think there's a lot more to unpack, but we're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately. So I think definitely going to schedule you to have another chat with me on the podcast here. But sure. Man, this has been great. I appreciate you sharing everything. And there's a lot of insight that we could take away from just as much as you guys work within in the industry. Obviously, there's a lot to learn from that, but obviously what you guys work on and that sort of thing. So that being said, I know you had mentioned to me about you had put together something that you could give the audience, but I also want you to talk briefly about, again, I had Brandon on the episode back in July of last year. So you guys, if you missed that, go back and listen to that. That was all about SEO and Facebook ads. That was a great episode. And so he mentioned how to contact, but for you, what's the best way to get in contact with you guys at Bateman Collective, figure out how to work together? And then if you could talk about that, I think it was a white paper that you said to give away.
Yeah.
Go ahead and plug that.
Here's a couple easy ways. One, go to batemancollective.com, and it's Bateman. I've had people do Batman. It's not Batman. Bateman.
Have you seen that commercial for the Bateman Batman thing?
And that I was rolling on the floor laughing because so many times at Bateman Collective we get Batman, and so to have Jason Bateman in the Batman thing, it happens all the time. It's
well, that's such a great commercial.
Yeah, man, I grew up with the name Noah, and so I've been called everything from Moses to an Old Testament prophet, and I've been called it. But so, yeah, Bateman Collective, and you can easily fill out a lead form there and talk to one of my team. They'll do a discovery, really try to understand your business, your goals, and reverse engineer into a strategy for you. And say Josh Kohler when it asks you, how you found us, because we want to know, we're a marketing company, so attribution's everything. We want to know. So that's one way, but I'm happy to send out some Google Business Profile step-by-step. Here's what to do, information to you. I'll email that to you. You can email me at noah@batemancollective.com and I'll email that to you. And then I did just in the last 2 days kind of go Jerry Maguire. If you guys, I don't even know if you guys are old enough to remember that movie, but kind of put together this manifesto, this white paper on AI Max, just to give the early initial findings of what it's supposed to be. I'm happy to email that white paper to you as well, noah@batemancollective.com.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Guys, we're going to have all of that linked below, so make sure you do take advantage. At least at minimum, grab that white paper, and then make sure you reach out to Noah and Bateman Collective to learn about working with them. I personally know many, many real estate investors and even personal clients of mine that work with them, and they love working with them. So if you need PPC, Facebook ads, SEO, that sort of thing, make sure you hit them up right away. Noah, man, thanks. We went a little bit over time, but I appreciate the... Man, this has been a very, very good conversation, and I'm sure this is just an ever-developing, just like we could probably do an episode a week on something new that's coming out with AI, so we'll definitely have you back again.
Trim out my senior moments.
Yeah, exactly. We'll edit those out. I marked clip on these. But I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you back again soon. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us and listening in today. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the show. And once again, all the things that Noah mentioned for the white paper, getting in contact with him and his email is going to be linked down in the description below. So make sure you do go check that out and take advantage. Other than that, thank you so much for listening and joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.